Edward here from earviewer.com. I have another video for you. I'm finally getting back to remote viewing, doing my work after taking some time to work on other things in life. So I'm finally getting around to turning my head back into this work. And what I'm looking for is to go deeper into the dimensional sensation aspect of the experience. And when I say dimensional sensations, what I mean by that is that when an actual experience is taking place, an actual remote viewing is taking place, some element of some dimensionality is being accessed by my mind, my body, dimensions that are remote from me through time and space, and I begin to experience some aspect of it. And again, I'm not that interested in solving the mystery of the target unless something like that comes through. If that's what's interesting to me, I go with what is I'm naturally interested in. I follow my curiosity as it's moving through this invisible arena, and I allow my curiosity to take me to where I want to go and experience and describe that experience as best I can. And that's what this session was. That was my intention going into this session, was to get back into that experience of there's something interesting here and I want to explore it and experience it as in a way that is most interesting to me. This target turned out to be Glacier Bay, an area in Alaska with these large glaciers and glacier lakes and that kind of thing. What I was experiencing, what I was drawn to in this experience, was the movement and the friction and the friction in between two moving densities, between two moving solids. That's what I was drawn to. That was the dimensional sensation, was the area between the two densities where the friction and the vibration are happening, where it's bouncing back and forth and creating this vibration and creating the friction. And so as I was experiencing that, my curiosity was being triggered, and very intensely. It was very interesting to me, very curious as to how the process of friction, the process of vibration between two moving solids, two opposing solids or densities. That's what was interesting and curious to me. Why is it important to me, or why would I even want to put a video about this? Some people may watch this and say, this is just, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know what this guy's talking about. But what I'm portraying, what I'm showing is the experience of a human being who is attempting to access elements of dimensions of time and space that are remote to me, that I have no conscious knowledge of, and there's something interesting there that I want to experience. And I allow myself to experience what I'm curious about. And in this circumstance, I'm curious about how friction is, what friction is, what it feels like, the area between two moving solids and how they interact with each other and what is taking place between those solids. As I was doing my research, looking at this Glacier Bay area and seeing that, you know, these are moving glaciers. And I found this quote on their website for them. It says, movement along the underside of the glacier is slower than movement at the top due to the friction created as it slides along the ground surface. And that is what was pulling my attention. It's that movement between those two elements, that slow movement, and the kinetic energy between the two solids. That's what was curious to me. That's what I was interested in. That's what I was allowed myself to experience. And again, if I were to just read that, I would glaze right over it. Okay, friction, a moving glacier, and there's friction between the ice and the ground. Okay, big deal, and I'd forget about it. But with this experience, and what makes it so important to me, is that I can actually experience it, and in a way that I will keep it with me. I'll keep it with me in my knowledge banks of what it's like for a glacier to actually move and slide along the surface of the ground. That's what I take with it. That's what I can carry with me, and is that the experience of it, not reading something and trying to memorize something, but actually experiencing something and having that as my frame of reference. So that's what's really interesting to me. I hope you find that interesting as well. Videos will start coming back out again, and I hope you enjoy them, and many more to come. I want to experience again further into what I'm calling dimensional sensations, how my mind creates, or the processes involved below the threshold of my awareness, right below the threshold, but bringing my awareness to the threshold. Experiencing dimensional sensations. What does that mean? That means from the input itself, in the dimensions of time and space, where the input exists, in whatever state, as the input is experienced, and the processes below the threshold create a sensation of dimensionality that has a specific quality to it that is recognizable as something real that is outside of my own inner processing. Something that is coming from the outside, something that is outside of my mind, being influenced by something entering into my mind, which is the input associated with this. That's what I want to experience. The dimensional sensations. Something is there. It has dimensionality. It has elements and aspects that are interesting. 7343. Down, around, flat, big. 7343. Angular, smooth, white, dim, arching like 7343. Long, tubular, echoes, vibrations. Something is vibrating, like a vibrating vibration. Vibration could be anything from, moving, something moving, a moving object, or something, some friction. What causes vibrations? Friction does. Friction causes vibration. This is just curious to me. A movement in between spaces. A movement in between spaces. Or in between densities. That is, what is friction? What is vibration? It is a movement in between densities. That it's contained within the densities. I'm very curious about friction. I don't know, whatever is associated with this target, but friction or vibration is the movement between solid densities, and but the movement is contained within or between those densities, like this. Like that. That's friction. The space, I'm just finding this very interesting. The space between dense. The space in between. That's piquing my curiosity of wanting to go or bring my awareness into the vibration or the friction there's more to that. There's more to that. I'm getting, comparators here. I don't want to get too far off on comparators of like plate tectonics or vibrating machinery. Like that. Those are just comparisons. I want to get back to this now. It dipped. It's vibration, friction, the movement in between spaces or densities contained within the density. A space in between, that's the area of interest to me. Because the vibration is in between those two spaces. That's really, really interesting to me. If there's more to this target, I'm not too interested. But meaning that here's two densities and they are bumping into each other, and in between is the space that is vibrating. And this could be molecular, or it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the size it is. The experience of it is what is curious to me. What is vibration? What is friction? And what is the experience of friction or vibration from the standpoint of the vibration itself? What is happening within this space? Within this space here. They're bouncing, these elements bouncing off of the dense surfaces. That has really got me curious and interested. Here's the point, is that the movement meets resistance and the space between the two. Opposing densities. That's really got my curiosity going. I'm having a dimensional sensation of being in this space, and it's bouncing in between the surfaces. They're like contained. The ideas of crushing, and that kind of friction, or being shaken, really shaken, and kinetic. The kinetic in here. Kinetic energy. And I'm having a hard time describing what I'm actually experiencing here, but regardless of what the target is, what I'm being drawn to is that an element of friction or vibration, and I'm experiencing what that is, what that's like. between two solids. And this could be microscopic or large, doesn't matter. Or ideas of like a ringing bell. Like that. Vibrating like that. Kind of bouncing reverberating. This is the aspect of this experience that I like the most, that I love the most, reason why I do it. To have an experience of experiencing some type of process that I would normally take for granted. I don't care what the target is. Solid in between here. Vibrator bouncing. Kinetic energy, where two things meet. Or connect, or collide. Anything else? Vibration. Buzzing. Looping. Moving. Enveloping. Or folding. Collapsing in. There's this element of movement, of like molten, molten this give me ideas of like a volcano. This idea of like folding in has to do with this friction kind of force. But what am I interested in? I'm interested in what's going on between these two densities. There's a very interesting kinetic force that happens when two things collide or meet or rub against each other and create friction. And the kinetic energy in between the two solids. That's what I'm drawn to here. I'm going to go ahead and end on that. That's what I'm interested in. That's the sensation that I'm feeling. The dimensional sensation is right in here. Right in there.